Alrighty folks, so I'm seeing the first avatar and the second avatar. This is the first avatar. Hi, this is me going to see a movie. Dudes, such a stupid movie. Oh my God, how can people like it? I'm walking home now with my Pampers. Can you see? Can you see this? It's just like a glaze of ice over everything. Hello, folks. I'm here in my office with my computer. And what I've been doing mostly this week is trying to get my garden layout ready for the 2023 season. You know, what crops I'm going to plant and where they're going to go. And then putting together a seed order for the year. So it's been tedious. I've been barely doing it. I've been just like a little bit of time, and then I look at Reddit and YouTube, and then I like get back to it. But I finally did get my seed order roughed out and my garden layout roughed out. I needed my layout done because otherwise then I didn't know how many seeds I needed to get. So I had to do both. Anyway, other than that, that's all I've been really doing this week. I did go out to the garden to check to see if I could dig out carrots, and made some discoveries. So kind of at the beginning of December, before we got down into the teens and single digits Fahrenheit, I went out and dug a big old bag of carrots, you know, out of the ground there. And there was just a couple of inches of soil frozen on the top. And these guys came out fine, but this is all I have left now. It is almost 2 in the afternoon, and we have a sunny day, you guys. Look at the sun. Oh boy. I came out to get carrots. First time I've gotten carrots in about a month after our hard freeze. There's ice freezing these logs to the tarp. I found a little corner here where I could pry off the pieces of driftwood. Okay, so I pried off the leaves from the top, and check this out, man. That is some frozen soil, dudes. I decided to pickaxe my way into this soil just to see how deep it was frozen. It's probably about 5 inches down, plus what, a couple inches of smashed down leaves on top. So about, let's just say 6 inches frozen. I got some carrots hopped out of there. So I'll take them in the house and see if they're frozen through, or if their little roots are giving them antifreeze. But I can't get any carrots out of this. Yeah. So anyway, last year we had a lot more snow on the ground, and snow most all the winter, and I was able to dig carrots all winter long, no problem, and they were not frozen. And yeah, so this winter we haven't had as much precipitation, not anywhere near, and the temperatures have actually been lower and earlier in the year. These guys seem fine. I took a bite out of this and it was crisp. So I thought I'd do an experiment. I've got my carrot beds here covered in leaves and then tarps on top of that. This bed here has just seaweed on it. And so I dug down here, and I don't know how much seaweed I have on top of here, right? Number of inches. And the soil underneath it is frozen probably maybe an inch or 2, but underneath that the soil is fine. So my conclusion is that putting seaweed on top of a carrot bed and then a tarp on top of that would be the better way to go. The leaves are just not as good of an insulator or something. So I was over there by the carrots and just did another test just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. And sure enough, this one same thing. The ground is barely frozen under this one. I don't know how much that is. You know, it's probably 5 inches or so of seaweed, which means that the garlic that I have planted here in these 3 beds, where I thought I better put some additional layers on top of the seaweed. I've got some plastics and some tarps and stuff on top here. That probably wasn't necessary, but the seaweed I put on these 3 beds was not quite as thick as these other beds. So couldn't hurt to have the plastic on top. But yeah, that's good to know. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you too much with like a bunch of super detail about my garden layout and my seed order. But I thought I would just show you in case people are interested. This is the new garden area, and I'm not really sure how many beds I'm going to be able to get in there, but I'm going to try and shove my potatoes and plus a bed of sugar snap peas. And this is the old garden area. And what I did was I had what I planted in 2022, so I would know what I should rotate for my crops in 2023. And what I did here was Salanova lettuce, 3 beds kind of in an area where it's newer, so it maybe won't have crane fly larvae in there to eat my lettuce. So that's why they're going over there. I'm a little concerned because I think that the area is a little bit shaded, but I'm just going to roll with it. So this was potatoes, so I'm putting kale and collards in here, and that's one thing that's new. I think I'm going to try and grow collard greens this year. This was kale and chard, so I'm doing leeks and green onions in there. These were just clover. And so I had some sugar snap peas in there. So I'm going to do kale, 2 kale beds, additional kale beds in there. This was kale, not a great thing to follow with chard, but you know, because the same things eat chard, but I'm just putting some chard there. And then I've got 3 beds of garlic growing right now out in the garden. And I'm going to undersow them. I did last year, undersowed with parsley, and that seemed to work fine. And so I think I'm going to try and do that the same thing with cilantro and dill maybe, and just kind of broadcast seed underneath there. And then I actually think I'm going to try and grow 3.5 beds of carrots. And then I'm going to get a lot of carrot seed, I think, because I think I want to try the growing 5 rows of carrots and then later interseeding another 4 rows in between there and see if I can't get a second crop. I did that this last year and it seemed to maybe work okay. So then these are going to be baby greens. I don't quite know whether it's going to be spinach, lofty salad mix, you know, baby chard, but I think that that's, you know, which of which is going to be, so that's going to be there. In the greenhouses, I'm just going to do my little rotation. Where it used to be cucumbers, I'm going to put basil. Where it used to be basil, I'm going to put cucumbers and just a couple of tomato plants. And then early on, in the past, really early, I've tried to direct seed some stuff, and it's always hard to get, you know, everything really watered because either the water's not running, or I've used snow to water the beds. I have to keep all this, you know, the water in the greenhouse. It's just such a pain. I think I'm going to try and just do transplants at each drip hole with the drip hose. And, you maybe wait till things have thawed out, and so that I can grow the transplants in the house and then transplant them out into the greenhouses when the water is thawed, and then not have to deal with all this watering and whatever else. So that's kind of what I'm going to try. I'm going to get the Salanova lettuce going in the greenhouses so that I can actually get that ready to sell. And then bok choy is one of the other things that I want to put in there because I've noticed that it grows really well in the cold compared to a lot of crops. So I would have something early. Anyway, that's probably more detail than maybe people would want, but that's kind of the plan for the season. And then this is my seed order, and this is why it's been taking me so long. Because I decided that I would take the time to redo my spreadsheet, because I don't want to keep doing the level of documentation that I've been doing in the past, because I know that what I've kind of gotten now where I kind of know what rollers and what gears I want to use for the Jang Cedar. I know what gritter I want to use for what crops. I know what in the spacing is kind of, and so I don't want to, oh my gosh, I've forgotten. Let me go grab my, my note thing. Yes. So I have like all of this information that I've been, including for when I'm out in the garden and I'm planting it. And it includes things like, all of that stuff, the size of block that I use for transplants, the gritter that I use, the roll, and so that should be kind of standard at this point. I'll probably do some more experiments and stuff like that. So I just wanted to put it in this one document where I've got all that information about how I plant things and then what my seed order is going to be. And, yeah. And so then in the future, probably in 2023, I will spend the time to do the detailed documentation on what I'm planting and all of that stuff. And I will continue to do like the date I planted things and some basic stuff like that. But as far as like, I don't need to document that I used the 2x2 gritter to, transplant my kale and chard, because I should always just do it that way. So anyway, I spent the time to kind of redo this spreadsheet, and it's not great, and I need to fix some things, and I wish it was simpler, but whatever. So anyway, then I was like, well, how many beds do I need? And that tells me what the total number of seeds I need. Then it also tells me how many flats I'll need, and then also the soil bags, how many bags of transplant soil I'll need. And this year I'm going to go ahead again and use the potting soil that I did last year. It wasn't perfect, but it's easy. I'm not going to make my own transplant soil mix this year. I'm just going to go with that. And so then that I can total that out, and it tells me how many flats I need, and so then how many bags of soil I'll need to make those transplants. Anyway, so then I get my seed information here, and then it'll tell me how many packs, and then the total cost of the seeds. And so right now it'd be $260 for seeds, although I may kind of do a little bit of fiddling before I do the final order. I've decided to mostly get new seed this year. I've got a lot of old seed, but some of it's getting pretty old, and so I've got all my little buddies here, and so if it was from last year, I'll use it, but then it's going to kind of like, I think I'm just going to use some of them as like sprouts and sprout them. Like if I've got green onions, I've never tried to do sprouts from green onions, but I'll just sprout them and throw them in a salad or something, and just kind of go through that, because a lot of times, sometimes I don't know, like, am I having a germination issue, or is this because the seed is getting a little too old and so it's taking longer to germinate, or it's not germinating as well? And I don't know. I'm just going to start with all new seed, except for some of the things that isn't too old and I don't really care too much about. So yeah, that is a plan. I do need to go through my bags. I just started going through my bags of my own seed that I saved. Now this is chamomile flowers. So can you guys see that? Oh man, it actually smells nice. So I've got a few more bags of chamomile that I need to go through. And then I've got some spinach and some orach. So then I probably won't need to buy orach seed this year. I may go ahead and I think probably will buy spinach seed just to make sure that it's good. But the orach that I saved from last year worked really great in 2022. So I think I'm going to just do that again in 2023. Anyway, yeah, that is it. I think that's it. Avatar. I saw Avatar last night. Maybe it was bad because it was an old movie. And I was super happy to go see it because our town is so cool. We have this kind of makeshift cinema. I mean, it's really nice. We have a really big screen. The sound is really good. But it's our museum conference center and it all, whatever. And so what they did was they they're playing the original Avatar movie and then the new one at the same time, which is so freaking cool in a tiny town like this, that we would be able to see both movies. And it didn't cost me anything. It was free to go see that movie last night. So that was super cool. I was so excited to see Avatar because people had told me that it was really good and I didn't like it. I don't want to get into it. Like, you guys would hate me. But I'm going to go see, if all goes well, I'm going to go see the next one tonight. And if it sucks, it sucks. But it's a movie, and that's fine. So anyway, yes, I think that's it for the week. I will see you guys next week. Okay, so I just pulled this bag down, and I forgot that I had saved a ton of bok choy seed. So I also don't need to buy bok choy seed.
To make Pandora the new home for humanity.
Okay, dudes, so I actually had to leave the movie at the beginning because it's just so bad. Like, it's just a war movie where the aliens speak English.